Who will be the first to repeat the V17 9A boulder Burden of Dreams? Finnish climber Nalle Hukkataival established this climb and made the first ascent in 2016. Though many of the greats have attempted this climb, no climber has been able to repeat Nalle's feat. However, two of the world's foremost climbers are currently in Finland projecting this climb, and a third climber may join them soon. First, let's talk about UK climber Will Bosi. Will is usually a lead climber, but has been inspired recently to climb boulders. And wow, has he been doing well. After training for multiple sessions on an indoor replica of Burden of Dreams, Will has now completed 4 sessions on the real boulder in Finland. On Thursday, March 16th, Will streamed his first session live on Instagram and later posted it to YouTube. We see his splash attempt here, and even from this first session, Will was able to stick all of the moves individually, though without all of the key links between moves. Now, the very next day, on Friday, March 17th, we see session 2, again, live on Instagram and later posted to YouTube. And on this very next day that he was out, he was getting more time on the wall. He makes a 3-move link and is trying out some new beta here with a possible heel hook method, though he's left wondering whether he should continue pursuing that heel hook method or if he should stick to the original beta. Then after a couple days of rest, on Monday, March 20th, we see Will's 3rd session on Burden of Dreams. This time he streams it live on YouTube. He spends more time working the links between moves, but his biggest win here is sticking the first move, not 1, not 2, but 3 times. This is considered the most difficult move on the route, and Will spent a lot of time on the replica working this move. So it's awesome to see him making progress here. Now, with a little video editing magic, you could make it look like Will has sent this boulder because he's essentially now done it in 2 parts. I'd be happy to do that edit for Will, but I don't think that's going to be necessary because it appears that he's getting very close to sending this climb. In the live stream, we also start seeing this Japanese climber, Toru Nakajima, cheering Will Bosi on. Now, we don't see him climb in this session, but Toru is no stranger to Burden of Dreams. He made a trip back in October of 2022 and noted at that time on Instagram that he had finally returned to the problem after 3 years away. So this currently is now his 4th trip to Finland to work on this boulder. And again, while we don't see him climb on this specific live stream, we do get a glimpse on Toru's Instagram page about his recent progress. We see him on the wall here. Now on Thursday, March 23rd, we see that Will has completed session 4 on Burden of Dreams. This time, no live stream as it was a shorter session, but he does post an update on Instagram, so let's look at that here. Session 4 on Burden of Dreams today. Will says, definitely was a hard one today. Split 2 tips open almost straight away on my left hand. However, I did finally make progress on the 2nd move and feel like I'm ready for good send goes when the skin heals. Video of some skin-friendly tring. When will we see Will out there for session 5? Let's talk about that in a moment, but first, let's discuss these live streams and Will's own thoughts on this format. It's pretty incredible what we're getting to witness here, climbing history in the making. One viewer puts it this way: has Will accidentally become the first climbing live streamer? In the first stream, Will himself notes that he's never done a live stream before. It kind of appears that he's almost stumbled upon this with all of the kind of hype and pressure coming up to having trained on the indoor replica and talk about whether it would be possible to flash the real boulder after spending so much time practicing on the replica. Will streams his splash attempt and then keeps going from there. When asked, Will said the live streams haven't affected his sessions much. He seems pretty happy to do it. But Will does share his thoughts about potentially sending the climb on a live stream, noting that if he actually does send it on a live stream, it would be a weird one for him because he wouldn't have time to write down his own thoughts about it. And I can understand that. Normally you would, send your project and then celebrate a little bit, maybe share that out to a few close friends before sharing it to the world. Whereas if it happened in this live stream format, it'd be pretty exciting for us, but I can understand the mixed feelings about it. Now, the response to the live streams has been overwhelmingly positive though. We've seen comments on these live streams from other well-known climbers like Pete Whitaker, encouraging Will on his progress. It was interesting, Will put a poll out on one of his Instagram stories asking if people wanted to see more of these live streams, and I think it was something like 98% of people said yes, they do want to see more. And Will's live streams on YouTube speak for themselves with nearly 200,000 views and counting. We also get to learn some entertaining things about Will Bosi on these live streams as he answers viewers' questions. One of my favorites was related to his diet. So someone asked what he likes to eat for breakfast, and he says he eats plain oatcakes. Though he says they're absolutely awful, I wouldn't recommend it. Now, being a climber from the US, I don't really know what oatcakes are. The only thing I could manage to find were these oatcake biscuits, which actually are pretty tasty. I'm gonna try one right now. I imagine though that these are not the same as what Will is referring to. So if there are any viewers watching from the UK, please tell me what an oatcake actually is and if this is anywhere close to the real thing. It's pretty good. Now, another interesting thing, Will shares that he doesn't really drink hot drinks like coffee or tea. In fact, there's kind of this running joke that whenever he walks in somewhere, instead of the common phrase, "Would you like a cup of tea?" his friends will ask him, "Would you like a cup of water?" On that note, cheers. So with an oatcake for breakfast and then some water, you're ready to go send that climb. We also learned that he really loves climbing. Not only does he say that on the live stream, but we see it in the smile on his face and the excitement that he exudes while he climbs. We also learn about some of his Craig essentials to include things, as you might imagine, like chalk, shoes, a fan to help with the sweaty skin, and he likes having a ladder as well. He talks about using the 510 climbing shoes, and that having a stiff, aggressive downturn shoe has been really key. There are also some pretty hilarious comments on this live stream. As people sitting on this side of the live stream, we of course have to share our recommendations with Will Bosi about what would help him send this climb, as if we had something to offer. But the most common advice was for him to take his shirt off for more power, and a couple people suggested wearing a beanie. Solid advice. Another theme around these comments was something like this, someone saying, just use the ladder that's right there to climb to the top of this boulder. This comment reminds us of how odd our sport of climbing is. We'll travel long distances, spend hours in the gym, work a single move hundreds of times, all in pursuit not of the top, but of choosing the most difficult line to the top. We could use a ladder, choose an easier route, maybe scramble up to the top, but there's something awesome about choosing the most difficult path and the process that it takes to get there. Now, there's another great comment here that I think we can learn from. Someone says, Will is the only guy to fail the first move on a boulder and say, wow, that's good. And I noticed this over and over again too. There's one time when Will was attempting the first move and then he fell off and he said, oh no. But seconds later, that oh no turned to oh yes as he celebrated the progress that he was making. And I think this positive attitude and this approach is something that we can all apply to our climbing. Also on this live stream, we get introduced to this hashtag that someone comes up with, hashtag willwillsend. Now, a few people point out some possible confusion here. Could you read it willwillsend? ? But I'm gonna go with definitely willwillsend. I have confidence in Will Bosi. Now, there's a third climber who could also send Burden of Dreams, and he shows up in the comments on this live stream. I think you know his name, it's Stefano Ghisolfi. He's a lead climber from Italy, and he has sent 4 9B pluses. He's one of the best climbers in the world. And I'll show you this clip here. Stefano is doing this thing where he says if he gets 100,000 subscribers on YouTube, that he'll fly out to Finland to attempt the real boulder Burden of Dreams. He also has spent some time on the replica in the UK. Now, someone notes in the comments, if Stefano joins, he will easily get 100,000 subscribers. So maybe he doesn't need to wait to get 100,000 subscribers. Maybe the way that he'll get it is actually by showing up there, maybe live streaming some of his attempts. And Will Bosi says he's going to try to persuade him to come either way. In the comments, Stefano said, I'll be training on a replica in Italy next week to be ready. Hopefully I'll be joining Will and Toru. With 100,000 subscribers, I can both send the project and have a good video on it. So let's hope we get to see Stefano Ghisolfi out there as well. So when will we see Will Bosi out for session number 5 on Burden of Dreams? Given a pattern that we've seen of a couple of rest days between each session, I think it's quite likely that we'll see him out for another session on Sunday, March 26th. Of course, that would be weather dependent. There's some key backstory about Will's training on the indoor replica of Burden of Dreams. Check out that here. And hey, my name's August. Thank you so much for watching.